Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Not here to make you happy, not here to make you sad. Your feelings are irrelevant when debates are to be had. The Belfast Bapcast, loud and clear, covering the topics others fear, Working overtime to bring you many stories. Waking up today, the same Labour and Tories. A stage, it isn't our part to play. Is bringing you knowledge in this way. No filter, no fuss, just tell unfiltered fact. Much like the words on those Christian tracks.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Belfast Bapcast. This evening we're joined again by Johnny Cirucci, and we are going into the second part of our series on who are the Jesuits. And tonight we are going to talk about the Catholic Church and Islam. So, Mr. Cirucci, over to you.
Mark Young, it is an absolute thrill to be back with you. Love you, brother. Appreciate you. And I will tell you that I have put considerable effort, because I love and respect you, considerable effort into expanding my notes on Islam. It's not something that I speak on regularly. I was forced to do so by my dear friend, Paul Brickell, and I've taken those notes and really expanded them. So stand by. A lot of this started when I wrote my second book, Secret History, and it was published back in November of 2016. So let's just get into this. Many have criticized Muhammad's visions that put him on his path as being more demonic than... I'm sorry?
Similar to Ignatius Loyola's?
Well, yes. There are similarities. Certainly, he recounts these visions as causing him great distress and terror, being thrown around, and so some have wondered, okay, how angelic was the angel Gabriel, or was this something else? Muhammad ibn Abdullah, Ibn Abdullah ibn Abdul al-Muttalib, born in Mecca in 570. As a young man, he was in the habit of going into a nearby cave in the mountain of Jabal al-Nur every year. And this is where he met the angel Gabriel, or so it told him that, and was the genesis of his compiling the Quran. There are striking, great point. There are striking similarities between Muhammad's spiritual journey and that of Ignacio Lopez, aka Ignatius de Loyola. For instance, de Loyola, after having his legs shattered in the Battle of Pamplona, was forced to eschew his goals of martial honor and war, and instead dedicate himself to the Queen of Heaven. And on a spiritual pilgrimage, he went through Manresa in Spain to visit the Black Madonna of Montserrat, where he stayed in a nearby cave for some 11 months. And not a lot of information on this is given by sources, although exactly like you said, there are a lot of similarities to going deep into a cave. And I don't want to be overly harsh, but as critics, there are critics of both Catholicism and Islam would say, well, if you're opening yourself up to spiritual interactions in locations like these, who knows exactly what it is that you're interacting with? There's no doubt that Muhammad and the Quran unified the pagan tribes of the Middle East. Islam was birthed in blood, according to the Hadith, which are early collections of works by Muslim scholars. Let's see here. Muhammad al-Bukhari lived from 810 to 870, stated that a Jewess poisons the prophet with a delicacy. So Muhammad died young by being murdered, assassinated. Not having the chance to clearly name a successor, his movement split into two, some following his father-in-law Abu Bakr, and that is modern Sunni Islam, and others following his son-in-law Ali ibn Abi Talib, which became Shia. Ali's rivals waited for their opportunity, and when he was prostrate in prayer, hacked him with a poisoned sword. Ali's son Hussein, also the child of Muhammad's daughter Fatima, very important, similarly met a tragic end. As the grandson of the Prophet, Hussein was invited to Kufa to be the religious representative there, and while en route, the caravan was intercepted by Ubayd Allah ibn Ziyad. I'm sure I'm butchering that. I apologize. Hussein attempted to explain what was going on, but egos flared during the battle at Karbala. He was killed and beheaded. So amongst the pious in Shia, it is not uncommon to flagellate themselves in honor of Hussein. This is very similar to the Roman Catholic practice of mortification of the flesh. Christians, evangelical Christians, fundamentalist Christians, Protestants, Christians, would say that this is a path that reformer Martin Luther had to pull himself out of, this idea of earning your salvation. Mortification of the flesh, beating yourself up, making yourself bleed. And as Protestant Christians, we follow the example of Martin Luther, who was conducting these same Catholic practices of earning his salvation and never finding peace in his heart until he came across the passage in Habakkuk 2:4, the just shall live by faith. You cannot earn your salvation, according to fundamentalist Christianity. This is echoed by Paul in Romans 1:17, again in Galatians 3:11, and again by the author of Hebrews 10:38, the just shall live by faith. Many believe that the author of Hebrews was Paul as well. Fatima, Muhammad's daughter Fatima. There is a reason that, well, if you're very cynical, as I am, the vision in 1917 of 3 Portuguese children of the Queen of Heaven in Fatima, the Virgin Mary. Very interesting that this is, critics like myself would say this was done to manipulate Muslims, to draw them closer together with Catholics. And it's interesting to also note that of the 3 children, Francis Marto died 2 years later in 1919 at the age of 10. His sister Jacinta Marto died 3 years later in 1920 at the age of 9. And Lucia Santos was whisked away into a convent and never heard from again, at least not one-on-one. So if you were looking to create myths and legends based on the apparitions of Mary and Fatima, you don't really have any witnesses in that case, do you? A lot of this information that I put into my book is from a Pentecostal preacher named Alberto Rivera, who claimed to be an ex-Jesuit. And this is controversial. Some say he wasn't. I find him a very believable ex-Jesuit. Amazing information that came from him. And there are corroborating sources. So it's not just Alberto Rivera. He claimed that he was given a briefing by very powerful Jesuit Cardinal Augustine Bay, who said that Islam was created as a weapon by the Catholic Church to give the Holy Land back to the Catholic Church, to crush burgeoning Christianity, and to wipe out Jews and cause religious division, which it absolutely is today. The Middle East is very heated, very divided. Oh my goodness. The issue of Jews and how responsible are they for all of our woes to this very day. So Muhammad's father died before he was born. His mother raised him until he was 6, and then she died. And then his uncle, Abu Talib ibn Abdul Muttalib, raised him. And Rivera states that Abdul Muttalib was warned by a Catholic monk that his nephew was very special and consequently was hunted by Jews. And the Jews were seeking to assess. So already we have the seeds of anti-Semitic hatred being sown. Let's see here. According to Rivera, Augustinian monasteries were epicenters to foment this, and this is crazy. So, if anybody has seen my interview with Paul, this is the stuff that you haven't seen yet. I'm able to put this all together now, post this interview. This is really crazy because there's another source on this that the Catholic Church wanted to create a Messiah figure, and in fiction, there is a very, very popular account given. Has anybody heard of Frank Herbert and Dune? Okay. Frank Herbert, Roman Catholic, who mimicked this very process. The Messiah, the Lisan al-Gaib, or the Kwisatz Haderach, and the Paul Atreides character, and the B'nai Gesserit, which are patterned after the Jesuits, created this myth to control the native peoples. Okay, and this is exactly what Rivera says was going on in relation from the Catholic Church to control Arab peoples with Islam. So Muhammad's first wife was, according to Rivera, his first Catholic handler, Khadija bint Khuwailid, a devout Catholic. Now, this is controversial. Many sources would say no, Khadija wasn't Catholic. But I think I have at least one or two sources that verify this. His second handler was Khadija's cousin, Waraqwa, also Catholic. And whether you agree or disagree, there are many similarities between the two religions, from monotheism to veneration of Mary, to use of prayer beads, to, as I said, mortification of the flesh with the Shia, veneration of the Old Testament. What Rivera also says is that under Waraqwa's guidance, Muhammad altered the Old Testament account of Abraham offering Isaac, and instead he offered the progenitor of Middle Eastern peoples, Ishmael. Let's see here. He was also supposedly given the works of Augustine, the prophet of North Africa, in preparation of his role. And Muhammad was taught by all of these Catholic sources, if they're not Catholic, they're enemies, and especially the Jews. So fear the Christian heretics and absolutely wipe out the Jews as much as possible. So he continued to receive divine revelations, and it was Waraqwa who helped to put this into the Quran for him. Let's see a quote from my book. In the 5th year of Muhammad's mission, persecution came amongst his followers because they refused to worship the idols of the Kaaba, and Muhammad instructed some of them to flee to Abyssinia, where Negus, the Roman Catholic king, gave them safe harbor because of their similar views on the Virgin Mary. Muhammad later conquered the Mecca and the Kaaba and was cleared of all idols. So finally, his last handler was another Catholic monk named Bahira, and it was Bahira that helped to put together the Quran for Muhammad. And I'll tell you, although many modern sources want to spin Bahira as Christian and not Catholic, that's the case, and they still corroborate this. So the Catholic roots, I don't want to be offensive to Muslims. I'm not going to say, hey, you've got a fake religion created by the Catholic Church. At the bare minimum, we can say, if you do your little bit of digging, that the Catholic Church has absolutely manipulated Islam. And look let me also say in relation
least.
go ahead. At least, absolutely, at least.
No, just say at the very least.
Go ahead. Yeah. No, if you're just accenting that and saying that, you're echoing that as saying that the very least they have. Yes, absolutely. And I will tell you, and we get back to modern times in relation to the global war on terror and how that has been created by Roman Catholic Jesuit controlled intelligence agencies. This whole idea of beheading and jihad, no entity has beheaded more Christians than the Roman Catholic Church. Just read Fox's Book of Martyrs. And what's his name? Green. Who is the gay Jewish journalist? He's got a saying in relation to domestic terrorists. Pretty funny. Wherever there's a terror cell of 3 domestic terrorists, you'll find 2 FBI agents and an idiot. And it's absolutely true in relation to jihad. Wherever there is jihad, you'll find, an MI6 agent, a CIA agent, maybe somebody from the Mossad, and an idiot. It really is true that there is very little to do. I mean, look at, so you've got CIA directors. So CIA was founded by Roman Catholic Knight of Malta, Wall Street lawyer, war profiteer, Bill Donovan, and his legendary experts. So we all call him Wild Bill. I don't call him that. I call him Mild Bill. No such thing as a Wall Street lawyer war hero. That's ridiculous. Founded the CIA as the OSS. And the number of, I can go through, Mark, the number of Jews that ran the CIA. Oh, did I say Jews? I'm sorry. I meant Catholics. Now, if you add those in leadership positions in the CIA who were also trained by the Catholic Church and or the Jesuits, it's overwhelming. Hands down, it's overwhelming. So it's my perspective that you are handed inconsequential players, bank managers, Hollywood producers, journalists who all happen to be Jewish, and we all point the finger at them. But when it comes to real power, running the Pentagon, oh, by the way, did you notice that the Pentagon looks a lot like the Farnese family villa with its 5 sides? Look that up. Running the Pentagon, running intelligence agencies. I don't see a lot of Jews, but I do see a lot of Jesuits, lowercase j Jesuits, not ordained Jesuits. A guy like John Brennan, Jesuit-trained Roman Catholic. They call John Brennan Barack Obama's priest because Barack Obama, by the way, Barack Obama trained by a Jew. Oh, no, not a Jew, a Jesuit named Greg Galuzzo. Trained by a Jesuit, Greg Galuzzo, in his claim to fame community organizing. Oh, I'm sorry, ex-Jesuit Greg Galuzzo, if you believe something like that, right? So how many times have we seen somebody, oh, ex-CIA, yeah, right, he's still getting a paycheck. What are you kidding me? Ex-Jesuit, yeah, sure. It takes somebody, by the way, like Alberto Rivera, to really go hard after the Jesuits to make me think, okay, he's not doing them a lot of good. He's doing them a lot of harm. He might actually be an ex-Jesuit. But these Jesuits that come out and they're, pardon me, Jesuits and or CIA. Go ahead.
Just saying, Alberto Rivera seemed very, very genuine. He had a lot of detail for someone if he was telling a lie.
He did seem very genuine. And I'll tell you what, he also, his preaching as a Pentecostal was powerful. If you look up his sermons, if he was acting, he was a darn good actor. The guy looked like he was on fire for Jesus Christ in his preaching. A lot of passion and emotion and teaching out of the Bible. And that could be an act, but darn good one, I would say, at the very least. And he had information that was corroborated. For instance, his information on Karl Marx. He said that Karl Marx was handed the tenets of the Communist Manifesto. Well, it's corroborated by his testimony that this was done while Marx was in a private reading room at the British Museum. What? Why is he in a private reading room? For the sake of secrecy. Karl Marx, trained by the Jesuits in Trier. We grew up in Trier, which is an epicenter of Catholic control inside Protestant Germany. Okay, nobody wants to talk about that. Do you want to focus on the Jew in the spotlight or the Jesuits that train them? I love to give the example of I am a Pennsylvania expatriate, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. It just drove me out. The overwhelming number of illegal immigrants in America, illegal immigrants that have been pouring across the southern border for generations. And what is significant about them, by the way, John O'Brennan, before I go to immigration and Jesuit trained Jews, I want to finish that thought. A guy like John O'Brennan. So how many different numbers? And we can go through this if you want to. The number of directors of the CIA who were either Catholic or Jesuit trained, overwhelming, to include not just Donovan, who was the founder of the OSS that became, but the very first director. What's his name? Smith, Walter Bedell Smith, who, by the way, George Patton hated so much that he wrote him out of his will and said, "Don't you dare make that son of a bitch one of my pallbearers." Roman Catholic, the very first director of the CIA. The very first director is Jewish? No, he's Catholic. So throughout history, and I've got a quick list: James Woolsey, John Brennan, we're going to get to him, John McCone, Michael Hayden, Leon Panetta, Robert Gates, trained by the Jesuits, Georgetown, William Burns, William Casey, William Colby, both of them. Oh my goodness. Michael Hayden, Luigi Perilli. And why am I have him there? Ray McGovern. Oh my goodness, Ray McGovern, another CIA whistleblower, Jesuit trained Roman Catholic out of Fordham, which is exactly where John O'Brennan, Barack Obama's priest, right? John O'Brennan. Another name for Brennan was the drone executioner. Why? Because he was known for firing Maverick missiles off of drones into innocent wedding parties. Well, what is he doing that for? Because he wants to create more people who hate and despise America and the West. That's the same reason why we have Guantanamo Bay. What is Guantanamo Bay and where is it? Guantanamo Bay, the Navy CIA torture rendition site, black site. Where is it? It's in Cuba. Our communist enemy, Cuba. How did they allow that to stay there when they supposedly were willing to go to war with the United States? And of course, you know that Fidel, 3 times raised, very devout Catholic. He's an atheist, communist was now. But raised very devout Catholic. 3 separate Catholic institutions taught him when he was growing up. 2 of them were Jesuit institutions. And the ridiculous, look this up for yourself, guys. The ridiculous idea that some 365 attempts were made on his life. Right? Are you kidding me? The CIA, these are the guys that can do anything, right? They're just all powerful, and yet they couldn't take out a Littleton dictator with 300 and whatever the ridiculous number, to include an exploding cigar, to include poison ice cream. Stop. Who is the one in charge of these efforts? Wile E. Coyote? Okay. Ridiculous. Why is that? Because he was serving a purpose. Whose purpose was he serving? Not America's. Rome. He was serving a Roman purpose. That's why the communist Cuba would allow Guantanamo Bay to stay there. What is the purpose? To take, and God forbid, I will tell you, I was a part of that. Although I'm blessed to say I never arrested anyone. But I was trained in what the hell they call it, the BATS identification system, where you take photographs of who it is that you're arresting, and this goes into a database. And we were told by our trainers, hey, man, don't F around with this stuff. In other words, take pictures of each other as you're practicing, because this stuff goes into a database, and you were no fly. You were done. You are now considered a terrorist once you go in this database. They do this, and the goal is to take innocent men and intern them at Guantanamo Bay, torture them, make them hate the West, and then kick them back out again. Okay. You ever hear a little incident called Benghazi? And what's his name? Not Secretary of State, the Benghazi, Stevens, right? What was his role? J. Christopher Stevens may have been homosexual, and one of the reasons why he was in a key position in the State Department. I'm pretty sure this was Hillary Clinton's State Department. What's the story behind that? Well, the CIA. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah, the CIA decided that Libya.
No, 7 was.
Say again, Mark. Bad connection. Say again.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So the idea is that what really was going on is Libya was stable. Okay. So Libya was stable. Libya had considerable tier 2 weapons that the CIA decided needed to fall into the hands of terrorists. Under Gaddafi, Libya was stable and growing. And in fact, there was concern that Gaddafi was going to separate himself from the central banks and do a currency based on the gold dinar. He was also creating aqueducts that were conducting a phenomenal beautification, bringing water into the Libyan desert, and of course, NATO. And NATO in Cyrillic is looks like Hato, and I love to call it Hato. The Hato fighter planes, very quick to destroy that and put Libya back into the Stone Age. So it was decided that Libya needed to be turned into chaos, and Libya's tier 2 weapons, such as SA-7 Grail surface-to-air missiles, needed to be gifted to dangerous terrorists. And this was what happened at Benghazi. State Department, a few rare people of ethics in the State Department, led by poor J. Christopher Stevens, tried to interrupt this process. And that's why Stevens was given up. And it was said, oh my goodness, I have the name of the jihadi that knew exactly where Stevens's safe house was. And guess where he was prior to the 2012 incident in Benghazi? He was in Guantanamo Bay, being tortured, but also being given inside information. So they knew exactly where to go to get Stevens and pull him out. And this, by the way, is why the United States military was told during the Benghazi incident, stand down. Hey, we got ex-Navy SEALs providing security. They're going to get wiped out. Stand down. We have State Department employees who are going to get run over and tortured in the streets and murdered. Stand down, they were told. So the reason why is the CIA wanted Libya's powerful weapons to fall into the hands of jihadis. Okay. So this is a game, an ongoing game, the global war of terror. What was started on October 7th that honors Our Lady of Victory, the victory of the Crusaders at Lepanto in, was it 15? Hang on. When was Battle of Lepanto? 1571. Oh, October 7th just happens to be Vladimir Putin's birthday. What a coincidence. Just happens to be the same day that the United States ushered in its global war on terror. Just happens to be the same day that Hamas initiated its rape fest, October 7th, where all of the IDF, prior to that, they could tell if a cat farted along the fence line. And then on October 7th, they had no clue. They looked the other way, right? All scripted. So Folks, wake up in relation to Islam versus Israel. It is absolutely scripted. And so this is why I say people get pulled into this. They are going strictly by emotion. They're going strictly by emotion. Israel, we've covered this before. Zionism, absolutely fabricated. Look, all you need to do is go back to Napoleon Bonaparte. We love him so much, we just call him Napoleon. Covered this before. Didn't we cover this last time, or am I confusing this with a previous interview? We covered this last time, yes, no?
We did.
A little bit.
We
Okay,
did.
so guys, go back to our
We covered Napoleon. We covered
okay. Zionism last time, Islam today. Completely controlled. Israel, yes. Israel is a fabricated state. Yes, from the steppes of Russia, they gathered up a bunch of Russians and convinced them they're Jews now and pushed them into Israel. Absolutely true. The difference is who's doing it and why. This is what you're not being told. Who's doing it and why? These are Catholic sources who have been pushing this through Freemasonry. And really, you just look at how much Israel's government hates its own people. Okay, from the Hamas incursion to the masking to the mandatory vaccines, Israel, one of the most vaccinated nations anywhere. What? Why? Because the Jews want to take over and then vaccinate themselves into oblivion. We go back to the example of Jews trained by Jesuits. Okay, who do you want to look at? Do you want to look at the Jew in the spotlight or the Jesuit behind them pulling their strings? I use the example of going back to what I was trying to get out, an example of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, where I was forced out by so many illegal aliens. And they decades and decades, generation after generation. By the way, William Brennan is just a little factoid that came off the top of my head. This idea of anchor babies, the idea that illegal aliens, all they have to do is send their pregnant baby mama across the wide open border, and blam, if she's able to birth out a child, magically that child is now an American citizen. Where do you get that? You know where you get it? You get it from a Roman Catholic Supreme Court justice. As an aside to the aside, the Roman Catholic Church has dominated the Supreme Court. If you want to look, number one, if you want to control a nation, you do it through the courts. You can't vote them out. You can't vote these judges and justices out. Not usually. There are circumstances where you can. But that's how you control a nation, completely insulated from the populace. And the Supreme Court has been owned by the Catholic Church. 6, 7, 8 justices, many of them Opus Dei, secret society Catholics, okay, with a token handful of far left Jews every once in a while. And it was William Brennan, if I'm not mistaken, that created through a Supreme Court decision that had nothing to do with the topic. How crazy is that? A Supreme Court decision, a footnote to Supreme Court decision, and suddenly and magically, boom, millions upon millions upon millions of illegal aliens birthing children, getting across, illegally crossing the border, committing a crime. But that doesn't matter. If they birth out a child, magically that child is Roman Catholic. The absorption of Puerto Rico in the 50s. Boom, suddenly magic. It was like 3 million Hispanic Roman Catholics. I was going to say, what's the big line of demarcation for these millions upon millions of illegal aliens? That they're Hispanic? No, that they're Catholic. It's accented because prior to the waves upon waves of illegal aliens, actually, if you go back in history, you have millions upon millions of migrants throughout American history, and they're all ethnic Catholics. My family heritage of Italian Roman Catholic, I'm 4th generation, 100%, except I broke the mold by becoming a born-again Christian, and I no longer have loyalty that runs back to Rome. My loyalty is to Jesus Christ and my country. And the difference is that a real Christian is decentralized. A real Christian doesn't answer to a human hierarchy. Religionists, especially the Catholic Church, they have a human hierarchy, and one that their loyalty isn't to their host nation, it's to the Pope in Rome. So waves upon waves. And I've got some sources that many of these were done under coercion. For instance, the famines in Ireland were exacerbated by British Freemasonic aristocrats to needlessly kill millions of Irish and push them across the pond into America, and the Freemasons being run by the Catholic Church. Waves of Italian. And what did they do? They came across and immediately got into the infrastructure as cops, as judges. Just look at the movies from either the ethnic Irish Italian Catholic criminals or the ethnic Irish Italian Catholic cops on the other side. In fact, there's oh my goodness, the movies. There are movies that portray that, right? I can't remember which movie. There's so many of them. Movies. I grew up as a Catholic criminal, and my brother grew up as a Catholic cop, and we're against a bunch of crap. All a bunch of crap, just as scripted in real life.
The Whitey Bulger story.
Whitey Bulger.
I think the Whitey Bulger story was that sort of.
I've got a dossier. Let's see here. James Joseph Whitey Jr., Irish Roman Catholic, 13 murders, may well have been a victim of CIA MK Ultra. How about that? Good connection. The entire family. And Whitey brutally murdered in prison. Dead men tell no tales, Mark. Dead men tell no tales. So the difference between the waves upon waves of illegal aliens or legal aliens is the Italians and the Irish and the Polish, all Catholic, were told, to assimilate. They're told to assimilate. And they didn't quite stick out. But today's waves upon waves of millions of illegal Hispanic Roman Catholics are told not to assimilate, whether it's all levels of American government, central, state, and local, or billion-dollar businesses. They all have a far-left agenda to cater to wide-open borders. Let me tell you something. Wide-open borders, generation after generation, that's high treason. I say very openly on my own show that this should be, those involved in the wide open borders should be, you can't do it because we don't have any real courts, we don't have any real cops, but they should be arrested and tried for high treason. And the possible consequence of high treason is capital punishment. And it absolutely guarantees, whether it's debt and whatever $37 trillion that the United States is in debt. Are you out of your mind? Are you out of your mind? The debt and the wide open borders, they guarantee the death of the country. That's high treason. Anyone involved in either one, when you've got American budget after budget after budget, a massive increase in spending. These are politicians who are corrupt, controlled doctors and lawyers that are guaranteeing the death of the country. They should all be rounded up, tried, and if found guilty, executed for high treason. Same thing with the wide open borders. How do you and Donald Trump, build that wall, Donald Trump, right? I promise you Americans, nothing has hurt. Zero. Illuminati zero. In fact, just the opposite. We have massive levels of propaganda and false flags. I firmly believe that the ICE shootings in Texas by a lone wolf with a 30-06, what 30-06? A 1903 Springfield with a stripper clip? Are you for real? Oh, how did we know what his agenda was? Because he killed himself, as so many lone wolf gunmen do. which is very convenient if you want to question the bad guy after the crime. You can. He offed himself, and it's proof that it's a manipulated. It's evidence it's a manipulated event, and if it's a real event, then it's certainly possible the person was programmed to do the harm that they did and then kill themselves. There are many victims of MK Ultra that say that was part of their process and their programming. Go ahead. Yeah, I don't believe it. So I believe that things like this ICE shooting event, it's crazy. I covered it on my show a couple days ago. That who was the target? Who were the targets for the ICE shooter? 3 detainees. What? 3 detainees? If you want to make a big splash, if you want to make a suicidal kamikaze splash, you go and shoot 3 detainees, or do you go and target somebody of significant value to the American government? No, you should. What is this? Go ahead, bud. Check test. Yeah, stop. Are you kidding me? So, but proof to me, not proof, but evidence that these were manipulated events. And what do the ICE shootings, that one incident, but many other incidents, the protests? I firmly believe that these protests are what's known as astroturf, to cover for the fact that there are no mass deportations. United Kingdom conservatives and Tories, right? If they want to be on your side, if they want to be on the side of not having your country, whether it's Britain or Ireland or Scotland, disintegrated by overwhelming immigration, what do they say? Detain and deport. Detain and deport. Detain and deport. Wait a minute. So what you're saying is, same thing for the United States. Illegal aliens have committed a crime. They've crossed the border without filing the proper paperwork. So we don't know who they are. Could be a terrorist, could be who knows? We have a process. They've obfuscated that process and jumped that process by committing a crime. So what's your solution? Your solution is the taxpayer pays to round these people up and kick them back over the wide open border, where they turn around and they jump back in. That's your solution? Because we're all that stupid, right? We're all that stupid. We take the word. So in America, we have, let's see, here's this guy. Oh, here he is. The vast majority of illegal aliens are Catholic, having come up from Central and South America, where the Catholic Church dominates and impoverishes. Wherever it is the Catholic Church owns and controls, they ruin. Oh, by the way, as a quick aside, in relation to, this is an historical fact. This is an historical fact that backs up Alberto Rivera. So Rivera says that the Jesuits, Rivera says Augustine Bay, Cardinal S.J., told him that the Jesuits created communism and fed it to their puppet Karl Marx, who was Jesuit trained Jew, the Jew name in the face of communism in the British Royal Museum. This is an historical fact. The Jesuits were able to do that because they had perfected communism by forcing natives of Central and South America, for instance, Paraguay, the Guarani Indians, forced by the Jesuits to live in communes. They put truth to power, as they say. They put truth to power. They had practical experience on communism, literal communism. They were the ones that put it together. Zapparelli? What's his name? Zapparelli. I want to say Zapparelli. What is his name? The Jesuits who coined the term, Tapparelli, Luigi D'Azeglio Tapparelli. Luigi D'Azeglio Tapparelli, the Jesuit who coined the term social justice while doing his insurgency work in South America. The Jesuits and the Roman Catholic Church own South America. The agenda is the same. In America, you can hate Hispanic immigrants because all governments at all levels and all big business all lean far left. How is that? Why is that? And invite the illegals to come in and not assimilate. Encourage them not to blend in, not to learn English. Oh, why bother to learn English? You get your choice. Anytime you call, you get para español. Uno para español. Anything you do is catered to. You are encouraged not to assimilate. The same is being done across Europe, except Europe, the difference is now we have Middle Eastern and Asian, right? We have Middle Eastern and Asian Muslim immigrants who are also told not to assimilate. Come in, don't blend in, don't become native to your new host nation. They will cater to you. Why? Because the pedophile scum in government, the ministers and ministerettes of parliament, want you to stick out like a sore thumb, including the people on your own side. We talked about this last time. Nigel Farage, right? UK Independent Party, put himself on the map.
Yeah, 100%.
Put himself on the map and attained power, and suddenly, oh, I'm sorry, there were just too many Muslims here. We can't do anything about it. That's a losing battle. I quit on that. But I'm going to stay in power. But I go ahead and I'll throw the white flag on that. So instead, you have to rely on real British citizens like Stephen Christopher Yaxley Lennon. Oh, I'm sorry, Tommy Robinson. Tommy Robinson, what a Brit. The Roman Catholic who's released from prison for whatever what is he did. What did he tweet out something? Long live Britain. Oh, I'm sorry, you're under arrest. Why? Because we need to create sympathy for you, Mr. Yaxley Lennon. I mean, Tommy. And you'll come out of prison fingering a pair of Roman Catholic rosary beads. Did you know? I didn't know he was Catholic. I'm not surprised. So the choices you're given, just like in America, are be overwhelmed with immigrants, legal and illegal. In Europe, it's overwhelmed with Muslim immigrants. And America, overwhelmed by Hispanic Roman Catholic immigrants. And your choice in Europe is be overwhelmed or join the crusade. Become a real Catholic knight and fight these Muslim immigrants like it was the Ottomans from centuries ago. Okay? It's all scripted. Divide and conquer. Please, please, please rise above this. Divide and conquer. Let me pause and take a breath and apologize to everybody because we got a bad connection. Poor Mark can't get a word in edgewise. Talk to me, Goose. How you at? You want to go in a different direction or?
No, we're good. We're good. Just circle back to Islam. So,
okay. Well, that's really the gist of my Islam presentation. Divide and conquer, created, manipulated. I gotta be careful about created. Manipulated by Rome. Manipulated by Rome. Go back to the modern global war on terror. Manipulated by Rome. Started, like I said, on October 7th. Why would either the secular United States or the jihadis, why would they all venerate Vladimir Putin's birthday, October 7th, and in the process venerate the Queen of Heaven, Mary, the Mother of God? Why would they do that unless it's a tell that the Roman Catholic Church is secretly in charge? Let me go back to the proof. I'll tell you, if there are entities that have conducted harm against Americans and citizens around the world, it's the CIA. And like we're talking about earlier, wow, no few entities. Who runs the CIA? Who runs the FBI? The most powerful agencies in the world. And the roots all go back to Rome. All go back to Rome, whether it's like we were saying earlier, Bill Donovan, to the founder of the FBI, a hyper devout Jew. Oh, I'm sorry. No, a hyper devout Roman Catholic, a daily mass Roman Catholic, Charles Joseph Bonaparte, great grandnephew of Napoleon Bonaparte. Let me dig deeper into some of these names in my CIA Catholics in Action. As a matter of fact, there's a let's see here. Why do Catholics? Where is this? Do I have this? Here it is. This is great. You can look this up for yourselves, guys, especially in Europe. Oh, I need to archive this. The Catholic Herald. Why is this not archived? Hopefully it's still up. I'm sure it still is. I'll look for it just to verify. The Catholic Herald in 2016. Hopefully it's still up. Let's try this. Check. What? Tell me it's not there anymore. Let's see if I can do this. Why am I not surprised? Why do Catholics thrive in the CIA? Let me see if this is still available elsewhere. I feel like I tell you, the internet, man, the internet is so tenuous. They have absolutely. So there is an archive. See if it's still up. No, unbelievable.
You're talking
I have
about
it
the
archived.
article why Catholics thrive in the CIA.
Are you seeing it? Yeah. Yeah, it is Robert Wargas, Wargas, Catholic Herald, from 2016. It might be here. Might be here. Yeah, it's archives. There are archives all over, but it's not the Catholic Herald. Wow, it has been taken down. There is an archive. 2016. Why Catholics thrive in the CIA. Wow.
I've found it.
Yeah. May 5th, 2016. Author is journalist Robert Wargas. Why Catholics thrive in the CIA. No official statistics exist on the Catholics in the CIA or any other American intelligence agency, but one interesting clue is the relatively high number of Jews. Oh, I'm sorry, Catholics. Did you find it? Serving as directors. I feel like such a fool for not having archived this.
There you go.
You got it? By contrast, 3 out of the last 5 CIA directors have been Catholic. Michael Hayden, Leon Panetta, and John Brennan. Looking back, this is 2016. Looking back.
There you go.
You nailed it. You got it. You got it. Looking back, a number of Catholics led the agency in critical periods during the Cold War. Some of the most influential CIA Catholics have been Walter Bedell Smith, who was the very first director, John McCone, William Colby, William Casey. Poor Bill Colby. He had a boating accident, if I'm not mistaken. They were not just casual Catholics, they were devout mass goers, and in many cases, Knights of Malta. Donovan was born William J. Wild Bill, I call him Mild Bill. Donovan was born into an Irish Catholic family in upstate New York. He experimented with other denominations while a student at Columbia, though he remained devoted to Catholicism, even after marrying a Protestant. Many Catholics ended up in the OSS, and it's impossible to know for certain why this happened. And there is huge crossover from MI6 between MI6 and the OSS and the CIA and back, to include seemingly humorous examples, such as Julia Child, the renowned TV chef. If I'm not mistaken, she was an OSS crossover, being born in Britain, but having worked for Donovan. Yep. How crazy is that? How crazy is that? I'll tell you. Dave McGowan's book. Let's see here. Dave McGowan. Scenes. What is it? Scenes. Weird Scenes Inside the Canyon. Great book, and shows you the military intelligence roots of sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. The ultimate Berkeley professor.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Let's see here. The ultimate. Hang on. The ultimate Berkeley professor. Timothy, is it Francis Leary? Yes. Oh, the Catholics do love to give. Yes, it is. Yes, it was. The Catholics do love to give their little boys the androgynous, and their little girls, the androgynous name of Francis to honor the co-founder of the Jesuits. Timothy Francis Leary. Tune in, turn on, and drop out. The godfather of sex, drugs, and rock and roll. The Berkeley professor. He wasn't trained at Berkeley. He was trained by the Jesuits at Holy Cross. And as a matter of fact, he received a paycheck from the CIA. Catholics in Action. Oh, you didn't hear that. You didn't hear that. And he was best friends with Jesuit-trained Roman Catholic FBI hero George Gordon Battle Liddy. Look that one up. Timothy Leary, Gordon Liddy, G. Gordon Liddy. And look at all the pictures of them clowning around with each other. Okay? Mr. Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll versus Mr. Law and Order. And they're both Jesuits, lowercase j, Jesuits, not ordained. And they're both Jesuits. Two sides of the same coin. Okay? Please, folks, wake up, and it's not the Jews. Please wake up, and it's not the Jews. And Liddy, interestingly enough, what? Go ahead. You had a question. Sorry for the bad connection.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
I'm hearing about it. Everything. I think it's mine.
Well, if you want, we can. We've been on for a solid hour. We can give a pause and just do a part 3. Come back for hopefully there's a better connection.
Yeah. Well, will we wrap it up at this for now?
Sure.
And come back again on it next week, and I'll plug directly into. Sorry about this, Johnny. I really do appreciate your time.
Oh, brother, I appreciate you. You were changing your schedule to suit me, and I love you for that. Thank you so much. You come on and you look a little flush. You look like you've been working out, and you got to go back to work now because the jackass Cirucci is making you work at 6:00 at night. Love you, brother. I appreciate you.
No, here it's been a pleasure, sir, and I'll get in touch via email, and we'll set up the next one.
Thrilled. Looking forward to it. Absolutely thrilled.
So, thank you very much.
Yeah. Not here to make you happy, not here to make you sad. Your feelings are irrelevant when debates are to be had. The Belfast Bapcast, loud and clear, covering the topics others fear, Working overtime to bring you many stories. Waking up today, the same labor and Tories. A stage, it isn't our part to play. Is bringing you knowledge in this way. No filter, no fuss, just tell unfiltered fact. Much like the words on those Christian tracks.